May I be an Apple fanboy without having an iPhone?
Listen to the rhythm of my beating heart, telling us it's time for you and me to start. Tear the mother up, just like it was a rental. Let's take it to a whole nother level.
Okay, let's see. I'm an Android power user and I wanna switch to an iPhone Pro model. Which should I consider? 15th or 16th? Let's close this question without further ado. Of course, the 15th. I've tried those new features on the 16 Pro Max and I can confidently say, you don't need them. This camera control button is just a gimmick and totally useless. Why would I need to control camera parameters that I can control more easily on the actual screen? It's much faster, and you can even control this pop-up island much more easily from the screen rather than from the button. What's the point? This is a smartphone camera. 99% of the time you use it in auto mode and as quickly as possible because you don't want to miss the moment. If you have enough time to tweak the settings, you can easily do it using the standard tools on the screen. Or you would use the Blackmagic camera app for video mode. There is no point in using this feature. It will only slow down your workflow drastically. Photo filters, they are useless too. They don't even come close to Fujifilm's well-thought-out film simulation filters, for example. The new iPhone filters are tasteless, and it's a software improvement that could work on any other iPhone. But no. And I don't regret it. That's it. There are basically no more new features. A slightly bigger battery and thinner screen borders, maybe. But consider the 15 Pro Max now, and when you upgrade your phone to the 18th or 19th model, you will get these tiny perks with other bigger improvements and you will really feel the difference. So after the Apple's presentation, I decided to try the 15 Pro Max, and I want to look at it through the prism of Galaxy S24 Ultra. A really heavyweight fight. Dude, I have never held the iPhone in my hand for more than 1 hour. Thank God I ditched Windows computers 2 years ago for the sated and blessed MacBook Pro. It's the best high-tech masterpiece ever built. However, this little guy is a bit problematic for me. I won't say much about ergonomics or its appearance. Almost everybody carries their smartphones in cases and they look ugly 100% of the time. You will use it without the case only on the sofa during the weekend, surrounded by a bunch of pillows. Look, it was 10 minutes without the case at home yesterday. But if we are talking about tactile sensations, I would say that both of my hands are really enjoying them. Both smartphones feel premium and unique, each one unlike the other. For me, iOS is both genius and terrible at the same time. It has a lot of customization options now, especially when compared to 4-year-old iOS. But now, is it possible to be so conservative with something as crucial as the keyboard? Text deletion takes an eternity.
Let's take it to a whole nother level.
And cursor movement isn't as precise like in the clear haptic feedback found on Android. To be honest, since some time I have accepted this and gotten used to it at some degree, but this is unproductive. What about side-loaded apps? I like to use a little modified apps that have some additional functions, like Instagram that doesn't listen to you all the time, or sometimes you need to install old rare application that exists only in APK format. On iPhone, you are just locked in the App Store. Oh, and let's address the elephant in the room, the swipe back gesture. From the right side, in any app, simple as that. Apple, when will you invent this? In iOS 26? So it's definitely two-handed philosophy, considering the amount of actions you have to perform with the second hand. Like you want to open the notifications tab or control center, you have to swipe it from the top, not from any part of the screen. Of course, you can retrain your neural connections and get used to workarounds. By the way, it has a pretty decent workaround, like the reachability function that helps from time to time. Okay, a quick update. This reachability function is really good. It helps overcome some inconveniences that iOS has. And in a perfect world, I would like to have the combination of it and Samsung's one-hand feature. As flexible and customizable as macOS is, iOS is just as self-contained. And yes, there is a guy watching this video right now saying, "You use it wrong, I live without this back gesture and side loading and I'm fine. Get back to your Android." Well, that's because I bought this phone to my girlfriend. Or my wife. May I consider you my wife? She will be a perfect user for this phone because she is definitely not a power user. However, she's an illustrator and she often complains about the frustrating file system on iOS. It is really hard to organize all her illustrations and sketches on the iPad in a convenient and tidy way. But I believe she will manage it. It turns out that the entire video ends up being about a typical Android user complaining about useful Android features that are missing in iOS. But I think you get the idea. I'm about productivity. If you are a power user, you have to accept compromises on the iPhone, and it has to have some killer features for you to make you switch. I didn't even consider iPhone a smartphone until the 15th model came out. The lightning cable, limited functionality and okay photo-video capabilities. But the iPhone 15, with its professional lock video mode, improved video functionality through the free Blackmagic app and Type-C charging made me think about this phone. I saw the killer feature I wanted, or at least I wouldn't mind having, and using it now, I would accept the transition, but it is still not enough for me. However, Apple slowly moves in the right direction. With the latest iOS update, they added a pause button in video recording mode and improved appearance customization options. Wow! Despite the killer feature of log video, I didn't see many perks of the Apple ecosystem between macOS and iOS. AirDrop? Maybe. This is another beautiful thing from Apple. However, I have an ace up my sleeve. NearDrop. Super small and convenient app that adds AirDrop functionality between your Android and Mac. So this is not an exclusive feature for me. I would have thought this is a joke, but no. After updating to macOS Sequoia, I actually got this app. I thought, great, now I'm gonna buy the iPhone and I will have the opportunity to mirror my phone to the laptop, okay? No, I was just fooled. Got it, thanks Apple. They seriously pushed this app to all the EU-based users, and I can't even uninstall it, this useless app. It's apparently due to some legal conflict between the EU and Apple, but as a buyer, I wasn't informed about it. It feels like a mockery that I don't live in the US. Apple product prices are higher in the EU, yet the functionality is reduced. That's exactly my kind of humor. Nice. However, iOS is undeniably beautiful. You can't argue with that. The animations and graphics are well thought out and look tasty. When you look at Samsung's One UI, it seems a bit simpler by comparison. But even here there is a fly in the ointment. Those excessively rounded corners and the dynamic island eat up too much useful space. A few icons on the top and that's it. At the bottom, many apps can't position their interface properly, leading to unnecessary offsets. But maybe I'm just too spoiled with those Samsung's beautifully sharp corners. And still no split screen in the 2024. Yeah, of course. The camera is just a monster. Just look at what I have filmed.
I like that nervous look on your face when you're starting to think that you're talking too much. I like how we just met and I'm not even slightly afraid to be opening up. But we could go all in. We could be in love by the end of the night. Sitting here talking, kissing your lips and I'm coming alive. Or we could start running, make a list of ways that the time just
Frankly, I was referring to the video mode, specifically the log video mode. 89% of iPhone users will likely never use it, as it requires a decent amount of effort to achieve a nice result. But for those who make content, this feature is mind-blowing. I was genuinely shocked when I tried it. This is a professional video camera that just slides into my pocket, and sometimes it even lets me leave my main camera at home. I originally bought the S24 Ultra for this purpose, but this log format is simply stunning. As for the photos and regular video mode, there is nothing particularly special. It works like any other smartphone. Modern smartphones with their photo capabilities have reached perfection in mobile photography, and frankly, all the photos look the same. Only Chinese smartphones have gone much further these days with better optics and bigger sensors. Unfortunately, Apple isn't that innovative compared to how it used to be. However, I would love to see an option to add some nice looking custom color preset directly into the stock camera app. For instance, I would love to use my own custom LUTs while taking photos. That would be a game changer. This way, everyone could create their own photo style for photos without relying on questionable third-party apps with those goofy presets. As I said before, I find that the photo presets on the latest iPhone 16 is a bit goofy too. Yeah. Maybe smartphone manufacturers are a little deaf. They don't want to give people the features they're asking for, and instead spend tons of money developing overly complicated camera buttons no one needs. I was confident that the iPhone has the best speakers of any smartphone, but I thoroughly tested it out and I don't like the sound on the iPhone. Initially, it sounds similar to the S24 Ultra, and to my ears both have too many highs. However, on the Samsung, I can tweak the equalizer, which applies to the entire system, giving me a nice balance for consuming any content comfortably. Believe it or not, you don't have that option on the iPhone. However, for the past few years, all the reviewers have been saying that iPhone sound is the best. On the other hand, I like being able to set a specific charging limit on the iPhone, rather than just having only the 80% switch like on the Samsung. It's more flexible and I really appreciate it. I also love the screen colors on the iPhone. It's paradoxical. Samsung manufactures the display panels for Apple, yet Apple manages to calibrate them in a way that looks much better to my eyes. The colors and contrast feel perfectly balanced. Seeing both displays side by side, I tried adjusting my Samsung to match the iPhone's display, but it either ends up too saturated or too dull. Yes, I got used to Android, and that's true. I have too many perks that speed up my workflow. iOS makes me do more unnecessary taps and swipes to achieve the same result I get on Android. I take advantage of every opportunity to make everyday tasks quicker, because time is the most precious value. For ordinary people who use 20% of Android's capabilities, iOS will be absolutely mind-blowing in the Apple's ecosystem. And to be honest, I caught myself thinking that if Samsung or any other brand throw in 1-inch sensors into all the cameras and give us the full control over them with real custom presets and pro video mode without this robotic overprocessing, I wouldn't ask for more. It would be a full-fledged device for me, fulfilling my cinematic and photographic whims. But for now, I'm very glad that this smartphone will always be within reach for me, and I will use it for some specific tasks while I wait for the perfect smartphone to be invented. This guy is a pro only for filmmakers like me, and somewhat pro for those who want to take nice looking photos. Just add a telephoto lens and a standard 120Hz display to the regular model, and there won't be any difference. Think about it, only two things separate the Pro model from the regular iPhone. And as for the display in the regular iPhone, I don't even understand where they get it from. Cheap Chinese phones have been using 120Hz displays for the last 5 years. It's just marketing. So this might be the most productive ecosystem so far. Thank you, Apple, for the MacBook.
A whole nother level.